Hi, so somewhat quickly here, I want to show you once again the process of installing a new or perhaps your rebuilt motor upon the wet end impeller housing and how really simple it is to do. When I can find deals on these, particularly on eBay and Amazon, I just pick up new motors and I mount them to the housings, which I recuperate from pumps that either have burnt out motors, or the housing's cracked. Rare that the housings will crack, but they will crack if you leave water in them over the winter. They will leak if something gets jammed in between the impeller and the seal plate. Oftentimes you'll start to see it wear around here and they'll leak through the bottom drain hole. So to take apart your housing is relatively simple. There's 4 bolts that hold the motor mounting plate to the motor, and then you will have to hold the shaft from the back end and unscrew the impeller, and I'll show you all of that in a minute. So these 2 plates here are your motor mounting plate and your seal plate. The seal plate is the one that has the ceramic bit of the seal, and it presses up against the seal on the housing. The mounting plate is what mounts to the housing over here. So if you're starting from removing your motor from the housing, you're going to start with the 4 bolts over here. Those need to come out, and then this whole assembly is going to slide right off of the wet end housing like that. So once you've got your motor off, you'll see that the impeller is here, and you'll be able to spin it freely if your motor is not seized. Loosen the 2 screws at the back and remove the back cover, and you'll see the shaft with the start switch in there, and I'll show you how to stick a wrench in there to hold that while you remove the impeller. You're going to need a nice slender 7/16 double-ended combination wrench, or whatever you call these, and I like to slide it right behind here where the limit switch is, the heat switch, whatever you call it. You go behind here, and I don't know if you can see, but it's going to grab the shaft. So you will spin the impeller from the front, and you'll feel it'll slide right in. You can't really see it from this angle, but you'll feel it bite. And then this will stop against these 2 metal parts here, and you'll be able to spin the impeller off with your hand. But you must hold the shaft with the wrench. Always make sure to hold your shaft, and then you'll be able to spin the impeller off. So once that happens, the impeller can come off. The seal plate will come off. Actually, you'll have the mechanical seal there, it'll pop off. I'm going to show you when I put on my new one. And the motor mounting plate will pop off. These Hayward super pumps take a PS 200. Nope, my mistake, a PS 201 mechanical seal. And the ceramic portion, which is the white one over there, seats into there. And the graphite portion goes over the shaft and over the impeller, and I'll show you that. You can put a little bit of silicone lubricant in there just to get it to go in, but do be careful about touching this. You want to make sure the surface is clean. Any dirt that gets in there will ruin the seal. So the way I like to press in the ceramic seal is by just putting a thin amount of silicone lubricant, seating it in there, and then putting the ceramic portion on top and evenly pressing on top, and it should just slide in there. Careful not to chip the graphite because it is rather delicate. Doesn't matter if you don't get it on there entirely all the way, it should seat and tighten up when you tighten on the impeller. So we will put the motor mounting plate back on, paying attention to where it says top over here, and then we will replace the motor mounting bolts back in place. Everything is 9/16. Now that the motor mounting plate is back on, again paying attention to the word top, we will slide on the motor mounting plate like that, and then the other end of the mechanical seal with the graphite slides onto the impeller. Again, you can put a little bit of lubricant around the rubber portion here to help it slide on, paying attention not to drop it like I just did, and ensure that the graphite surface is not cracked. So now, once again, as I showed you before, we're going to have to hold the wrench on the back and screw back on our impeller onto its shaft. Right now the impeller is back on there. You can use a strap wrench to get it on, but you do not want to go too tight with this. And whatever you do, be very, very careful about using channel locks or any types of vice grips, because you will crack the impeller. can slide the diffuser back on, paying attention once again to where it says top, and then the whole thing will slide back into the impeller housing as it came out. We will have to replace our seal, which looks something like this. Again, you can lubricate it and put it back in, or completely replace it, as they are not very expensive. Whatever you do, be careful about stretching it as you put it in, otherwise it's going to start to buckle at one point and be hard to get it to seat properly. Now once you've slid the motor assembly back into the wet end housing, you can kind of peek through the top and the inlet hole and make sure that the diffuser has not slipped out of its position. Then you're going to simply reattach your 4 mounting bolts, and that is how you completely remount a motor to a Hayward super pump. If you have any questions, leave a comment, let me know.